Hey y'all, I just wanted to do a quick video and show you a few things in the garden today. Everything's in full bloom and looking so pretty. So I thought we'd just walk around and look at a few things that really is just standing out today. So I guess this is like a little mini tour. The dahlias. I don't know if they're enjoying this little bit of cooler weather or what it is, but they are just really blooming like crazy today. And you know, a lot of these I started from seed. This one is one that I bought tubers for, and it's so pretty. And the cannas are pretty today too. This is one that I started from seed, and look how pretty that is. I mean, just look. It's just amazing. And these, once you start them from seed and plant them, they'll actually grow tubers. So, you know, if they're perennial in your area, they'll come back every year. And all of these in the front were started from seed. This is another one of the ones that is from a tuber. That one back there, I would say it's not blooming yet, but it's this one right here. I think it's the same as the other one. It's just that one's a little past its prime. When they first start opening up, they look like that, almost like a desert plant. This is a clematis that I bought at Home Depot, I don't know, about a month ago. And I assumed that it was done blooming because it had flowers on it when I bought it. But I guess it blooms on the new growth because it's blooming again. And all of that's new growth on the ends of it. These I started from seed. And look how pretty they are. I think it's just amazing that you can start dahlias from seed and they grow into really just about as pretty as ones you would buy as tubers. Of course, you know, this is funny right here. The only thing I really planted here that I bought was the Hoopla petunia, which is, you know, the one that's got the white edges on it. And the other petunia, I did not buy. It came back from seed. I mean, it like seeded in one of my flower pots last year. And I had little sprouts of petunias. And I'm assuming this was from the jazzberry. Little sprouts of petunias. It's the dark pink, hot pink, whatever you want to call it. And it was coming up everywhere in my pot, so I dug some out and just planted it here with a Hoopla. And the Vinca that's in the middle, the purple, it also self-seeded from last year in a flower pot. And I just stuck it all right here, just 3 little plants. One I bought and the rest were from seed from last year. I just find that amazing. I mean, that's beautiful. That's just as pretty to me as when you would have, you know, if you'd have went to the garden center and bought multiple plants and planted. And so, a really big money saver. But here's another dahlia. And I'm pretty sure this one, I can't remember if it was from tubers or if I started these from seed. I started these from seed because they're in the front. All the ones in the front were started from seed. And this one's beautiful. This is actually one of my favorite ones. I love the color, the coral color. And there's some more of it. Like, it's blooming all over. Just all over the place. And of course, the bubblegum petunias, I mean, whew, they're just so vigorous, so beautiful. And you can tell they're getting a little, they should have been cut back. They're a little leggy, but it doesn't matter to me. I think they're still beautiful. It actually has taken over. There is a rudbeckia underneath it, but you can't see it because it's completely covered it. Also, these Holy Grail hibiscus, they are just amazing. And I only bought these about, I want to say about 3 weeks ago. And you can see, well, there's a better one over here. I had bought 2 of them. And just look at this flower. It's beautiful. And I really didn't expect them to just take off and bloom the way they're doing. Because when I planted these, it was really hot. Really hot. And I don't know, they wilted a little bit for the first probably week, maybe week and a half. And ever since then, they've just looked amazing. So I'm hoping next year these get a whole lot bigger than what they are this year and fill in a lot of this area. But let's walk back over here towards the pool area, because it's also really, really blooming and looking just gorgeous. I can't remember what that hibiscus back there is. I know it's a proven winter hibiscus. I bought it last year, and I'll have to find my tag because I cannot remember it. It's similar to the Holy Grail, but the color, I'm not sure if you can tell in the video, is more candy apple red, and the Holy Grail to me has more of a burgundy flower. It's beautiful, and it is twice as big as it was last year. And then I have the little hibiscus. I think that one's called Carnival. I'm not positive, but I think that's what it's called. And it was really pretty a couple weeks ago, but it's not a bloomer like the proven winter newer varieties are. Excuse me. And the French vanilla hardy hibiscus from Proven Winners, it is also beautiful. This is the second or third time that it has filled out with blooms like this. And I've heard that they're going to discontinue this one. They're not going to be selling it anymore, and that's a shame. Maybe they will bring it back into production later, because it's one of my favorites. I love the creamy white with I call it a dark pink, but I guess it's kind of a red center. And of course, you know, the Pugster Blue butterfly bush it's been blooming for probably 2 months or longer. And the bees and butterflies, they cover it during the day, especially when it's sunny. And then, of course, again, the bubble gum. Just look at that is 2 plants. 2 plants. It's just amazing. And I think this one's called raspberry. The raspberry Supertunia. And this is the first time I'd ever grown it, and I love it. It's a dark pink, just beautiful. Not quite as vigorous as that. Of course, that's a Vista, and I don't think this is a Vista. I think it's just a Supertunia. And the pink knockout rose is blooming again. I love that one. It's like a baby pink. Let's get a little closer so you can get a better view. That's when that's just opening. And then it turns this color as it opens up. It's a baby pink. I absolutely love this one. And then I have a yellow knockout rose. It struggled for about 3 years, and I've moved it over here last year, and it's finally starting to grow and excuse me, look good. But it has kind of a creamy yellow flower, and I hope next year it gets about half the size of this one. We'll see. But as we walk back this way, I wanted to also highlight one of the flower pots over here, but this pot is looking a little rough, but that white vinca is also, I believe it was one that self-seeded, but I did start a few from seed, so I can't remember if that's when I started or if it's one that self-seeded from last year. Here's another rose. And I will have to look this one up because I can't remember what it's called. It's a drift rose, I do know that. But I can't remember what color this is supposed to be. It's peach. It's like a really light peach color with a little bit of yellow in the center. It's beautiful. But you can see it had a little bit of mildew. And I think that's because it's a little bit more shaded than it would like to be right here under this crepe myrtle. So, you know, the crepe myrtles here in the deep south make trees. But this flower pot right here, I've never bought the pots where they already have like the pre-mixed flowers in them, and you know, the bloom ready, I think is what they're called. And you just drop them in whatever pot you want to put them in, and then you just, of course, water them and fertilize them. But I actually found this one, I want to say about 2 months ago, at Lowe's on clearance. And it was, all the plants were small in it, but I want to say I only paid like maybe $7, $7.50, something like that. It was half price. And this has been one of my favorite pots after it started really growing and weeping over the edges. They really hit it with this combination, in my opinion. The honey petunias, the yellow looking ones, they are beautiful. And mixed with the Coralina and the Peachy Keen verbena. I really like the verbena, but it's not as vigorous as I thought it was going to be, or it's not been for me. Of course, I've not kept this pot fertilized the way I probably should have either. But I mean, any more vigorous and I would have been cutting it off the ground, so I guess it's okay. But I love the color combination. With the spike plant in the top, I just think it's so tropical looking. And, what else? The drift roses over here are putting out another flush of blooms. They just bloom really from early spring all the way until we have a freeze. And they'll have little, in between, little what I call lulls where they're not blooming at all for, maybe a couple weeks. And then they'll pick back up and flush back out and be blooming just wide open again. And the coral one here in the front is my favorite, but I really like the pink one in the back too. And they're supposed to only get like I think 3.5 foot. I think 3 foot is what it says on the container when you buy one, but they've gotten taller than that, and I've cut them back multiple times this year because they bloom off a new growth. So cutting them back just helps encourage more blooms, and of course that's what you want when you're planting roses and stuff. You want to enjoy those blooms as much as you possibly can during the summertime. Uh, and this Gara, I think I may end up having to move it because it is a lot bigger than what I thought. I mean, you can see it goes all the way up to, it's probably 5.5 foot. I would say it's at least 5.5 foot tall at the very tippy tops of some of these. I was not expecting it to get anywhere near that size. It's beautiful and I love it, and I may leave it here. We'll just see, because I have a purple running rose on the back side of it, and which is not blooming right now. It had just got done blooming, I think maybe 5 or 6 days ago. And I can't remember what it's called either, but it has the most glorious fragrance. I mean, you can be out here working anywhere around this whole area when it's in bloom, and the smell just, it's just amazing. It also came from Home Depot, and it's not a Proven Winners or a Monrovia. I don't even think it was a branded rose. I do struggle with it, with like black spot and stuff, even with using a systemic. So I guess that's probably why it's not as popular as some of the other ones that are more disease resistant. But it's worth it for the smell to, in my opinion, to have to, treat it a little bit and deal with some problems. But I just wanted to show some of these things that are in bloom. I don't know, they just looked extraordinary today. The lantana is really starting to get big. Of course, it loves the heat. The hotter it is, the faster it seems to grow. And I don't think I had ever grown this color before, but I love it. And I'm definitely going to try to take some cuttings off of this one and overwinter for next year, because I wouldn't mind having several of these just in different parts of my garden. I've never tried to propagate this, but and it's also not branded, and so but I don't think it'll be too hard to propagate, especially as prolific as it is. And these pots, they're just, I don't know, the bubble gum is like growing across the ground now. It's kind of crazy, but I do love it. And of course, you see my cup of coffee, because I was sitting on the swing just looking at all these, admiring all these beautiful blooms today. And so I thought, you know what, I need to show some of these, because it doesn't look like this every day. Of course, again, some of this stuff is looking a little tired, because we are at the end of the first week of September here, going into the fall months, and I just really dread that. I'm ready a little bit, I guess, for the cool down and the less maintenance, or at least you would think less maintenance. We'll see about that. And I don't remember which type of sedum this is either. I will just have to look it up. The tall pink. It looks a little rough here. I don't know if it's just You know, sedum likes to be in crap soil, really. And I've not done anything to this soil, and it is going downhill, so I thought, well, it should do great here. But it's really not. I think I may need to move this either this fall or next spring, because, I mean, even the ground cover ones are, you know, that one looks okay, but it's not the way it should look, and that one just looks rough. And then look at this one. That one should look like that one. They were planted at the same time, and they were the same size pot. So, I mean, I don't know. This one looks okay, and that one looks okay. That one's definitely struggling, and that one doesn't look great. So, maybe moving them, and then again, the Gara, it has, this has not gotten as tall as the one I just showed, but it's splitting open in the middle, and so I probably should have cut it back. It's just been weird weather this summer, this spring, summer, and I don't know, like, we would get weeks of rain, and then we would get weeks of, like, drought. And right now, we're supposedly in a drought again. So, we'll see. I'm probably going to leave this here another year, and we'll see what it does next year. Because I love it here with these grasses, and it has such a pretty flower. Look at that flower. It's a different color than the one that I showed a few minutes ago. But, and this salvia, I started this salvia from seed that I got from, I can't remember, is it Swallowtail? Something like that. I think 2 years ago, I bought some seed, and I grew some last year, and then I saved the seed from the ones I grew last year, and started seed this in the spring from the seed I saved last year, and I love this color. It's supposed, I think it's called coral, but it's more of a pink to me, with maybe a hint of coral. And it gets pretty tall. I would say it's every bit of 4 foot tall. I had some more over there by the tunnel too. But the bees and butterflies and hummingbirds, you see them on this most of the time. And then we're going to swing around this way, because I just want to show the sedum autumn joey it's one of the toughest plants, and it's one of the most beautiful plants in my opinion, because, and it's so beneficial because it's literally covered with bees. I earlier today was like a little nervous about walking down the walkway. Of course, most of the time they just stay right on it. They don't even bother to come off at you. But I don't know if you can see all those bees, but they are covering it, literally covering it, all from the one end of the walkway all the way down to the other end. And so, if you're looking for something to, for your pollinators, you definitely want to get some sedum autumn joey. Actually, any of the sedums that bloom, they love them all. These right here split open, and I think it was from too much rain. We've just, not necessarily too much rain, but too much rain at a time. When you get 2 straight weeks of just rain every day. Sedum does not like that. They like dry, hot weather with crap soil. That's been my experience with them. They're still beautiful, but they are putting up new growth in the center where it's, where it's split. You can see on this one, but it just is what it is, I reckon. And this was a new one. This was one I bought this spring from Proven Winners. It's one of their new ones. That is like a ground cover top. And it's beautiful as far as the blooms go. I love that color. I hope it fills in more in the center because it's, it's spreading out. But you can see that there's some new growth starting in the center, so I'm assuming it will fill in. And like I said, this was just planted this spring. But yeah, that's all of the ones that I wanted to highlight right now because it was just so pretty sitting over there drinking my coffee, and I thought, yeah, I might ought to just go ahead and grab the camera. So, but anyways,